Hello, everybody. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this life healing. Welcome to the space. I hope everyone is doing well. So nice to see you. Let me know if you're able to hear me all right, please, in the chat box. Thank you so much for your likes, for being here. Hi, D-Star from Los Angeles. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Juicy James. Yay. Wonderful. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. So happy to connect to you today. The energies have been so intense. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Loretta. Hi, Jawara. Hi, Ellie. Thank you guys for being here. So I wanted to do this live to give you a little bit of an update because the energies have been pretty intense. If you have been feeling it this week, since the beginning of the week, we started with kind of like a massive wave of energy. And, you know, when these waves come in, we can have all kinds of different symptoms. As you know, we all have very different symptoms. And one of the symptoms that I have, for example, is that I get very, very tired. So I don't have any other symptoms anymore, but just I feel a lot of, I just need to rest, like go take a nap. Yes. So we are purging a lot through this cycle. Hi, Adriana. Yes. And we're being guided to really hold steady. So I wanted to come on up here to give you guys a little bit of a heads up and, help you a little bit with some energetic assistance, a little bit of a protocol, energetic protocol to assist you during this week because it's kind of building the energy. So it's like we can ride the wave, and if we are able to ride it, then another wave comes in, and then we're able to ride that wave. So the best thing is to really relax into it and to have some tools for you to be able to ride this energy. Yes, and we have also asked divine feminines. A lot of divine feminines have been holding a lot of weight and water weight and a lot of water in the bodies too. And this is because of this massive amount of energy that we're receiving, Our body kind of like creates this retention of water to kind of buffer the intense energy or the intense electricity. So kind of like as not to get burned by the energy that is coming in. So yes, hi Steph. So we're going to feel a little bit, we are already feeling a little bit of that. And we're also going to receive, we're in this energy of the post-eclipse, post-lunar eclipse. We're coming into the solar eclipse, and we are really, really encouraged to stay as grounded as possible. Because these three eclipses, this series of eclipses now, I feel like they are kind of like our grace period. The grace period that we have right now to really like take care of ourselves, to really transmute whatever we have to transmute, to really close chapters of our past, close out for some of you, it's basically closing out timelines. It's closing out huge cycles that we have been in as souls for a long time. And there's this like gateway, and of course the Lion's Gate, right? It's symbolized by that, where we can kind of go into and take this new direction and go into a higher timeline and go into a higher frequency. And basically, it's just a new way of connecting to the divine, through a more expanded heart, through a more expanded field, through more light, through more consciousness. So what we're doing right now is basically anchoring in this consciousness, this light, into our bodies. Oh, let me just read in the comments. Yes. Yeah. And guys, for the for the water weight, there are some teas that you can drink that are very helpful. There's this Ayurvedic tea where you put holy basil, coriander, and what was the third one? And you can also put mint in there. And if you want a little bit of cardamom, and these these herbs together, they help you sort of release excess water weight. Yes, dandelion also, yes. And it's also, thank you, Lydia. And it also helps the digestion, it helps many things. But yeah, that can be something. Of course, we have to drink a lot of water during this time, even more. And if you feel tired, if you can, to really, take a nap, to really take some time to relax, or if you can't take naps during the day, then to try to go to sleep earlier and try to turn off all devices earlier so you have like a restful sleep and you feel recharged in the morning. Okay. Yes, it is. So maybe we can do something a little bit for the bloating as well. And I feel like also coming into the Lion's Gate and coming into September, October, all of these changes that we're going through will start to settle, and as will our bodies, in integrating. And of course, we have these grace periods, and then it starts all over again, or it starts in a different way. But I feel like this year, because of everything that we have gone through, because we are starting to slowly move again, because the world is starting to open up again slowly, in some places. And this is also like symbolizing that we have this time, before everything starts running up again and running very fast as the world does usually. We have this time to kind of be with ourselves, to really work on our healing, to really make ourselves the focus, and to, support ourselves and to prepare for what's to come. Because once everything starts going again, it's very easy to get caught up in routine or things that we have to do, and then we start to pay perhaps less attention to the things that were actually shown to us that we perhaps should be paying more attention to, like our bodies, our physical health, our mental health, emotional, and whatever has been coming up for you during this time of, it's retrograde, but it's also being inside the house, of kind of like this pause. So really taking in the blessings of the pause, focusing on, the revelations that came forward through this pause, and focusing on wherever you know that you need more assistance, more help, and to be sure to get it for you, or to, to give it to yourself. And this was also a message that I was receiving earlier today, that, oftentimes we think because we are, waking up spiritually, and perhaps we are a minority, right now in the planet, and perhaps in your families, with your friends, in your environment, perhaps there aren't so many people who are living reality, with a more awakened mind as you are, perhaps. And so sometimes we tend to feel lonely, and sometimes when we're feeling all these feelings and we're having all these symptoms, and we're going through all these crazy things happening, and we look around and perhaps we see that other people are just managing their lives as usual and nothing is apparently shifting for them. And so we may feel a little bit alone sometimes in that. And I think that everyone, in our lives as light workers, um, there are just some moments where we feel that loneliness, and we may even feel that separation, from everything a little bit, just because we're a little bit different, or just because we're a little bit more sensitive, or just because we feel things in a way that the majority of people don't. So it is important to really anchor in, in our light, and to really anchor through our connection to God, to make that more profound, and also to reach out and to have this community, and to find, if someone um, who may be able to assist you, to support you, if you resonate with them, if you resonate with their energy, if it makes you happy, if you feel expanded, um, to really reach out and seek that help and seek that wisdom and seek that perspective. It may be from someone that you don't even know. It may be, someone from the community, the spiritual community, but it also may be just a friend or someone that crosses your path with whom you can perhaps talk to. So, with all of this, the more we accept our light, the more we integrate our light, we are also able to find our soul family. We're also guided by the light to go to the places, to be in the circumstances, to connect with people who are more like-minded, or people who are just plainly from our families of light and who are also here, incarnated, who have also gone through the ringer, who have also gone through or are going through a lot of things that you're going through as well. Okay. So, I'm so sorry, Nikki. Yes, there is a lot of grief, and there's in the fields as well, I have been feeling, and there's a lot of transition. It's like coming into this a period where we are each individually, and especially also as twin flames, we are really living the full spectrum of what it is. And because it's just a template, we all have a different way of living that template, right? So the embodiment of the template is very, very unique, and it's very, very, our own. And we may have and experience many kinds of into the higher dimension. Sorry, guys, I think I got a little bit caught there with the important time to do this work in a way that we feel that we are being supported. My spiritual teachers, they always said, almost all of them, and they came from very different traditions and backgrounds. The fact of it's even, the fact of going to church and just being in the presence of God with others, or being, in a temple and just meditating with others, just wherever you unite and you come into this alignment with your light, and you come into being together with the light of others, just as we come together here, because when we are connecting, we're connecting soul to soul. Of course, we all have our human selves, and we have our personalities, and we have all the different traits of our humanity, which are beautiful. But when we come together in a spiritual community like this, we always come through the soul, and we come through the higher perspective. So when we meet ourselves like that, we're able to mirror to each other the divine light that we hold within us. And we're able to bring in and bring out our best qualities. So this is part of the change that is happening as well, where we are coming out of mirroring one's other shadow, and always mirroring, let's say, the shadow aspect or the darker side. And we're coming into a phase or a time where we will start to mirror the light. We will start to create and source from the light into more light. And of course, we're also at the same time integrating the shadow. But it will be, or the way that I'm seeing that it's presenting, it's a little bit more harmonious, where our human selves can just identify the light in someone and kind of up-level the energy, upshift, and change your field. So when we come into the presence of someone who is very activated, or who has just a deep spiritual practice, or who has this light that is shining, everyone that comes into contact with that being also receives these codes and these transmissions of light. So in a way, we're all becoming more telepathic, and this has a very beautiful side to it, which is that we're starting to realize that we are actually not separated, that in the higher dimensions we are all one. But this also, for empathic sensitive beings, and for empaths, for all of you who, I think most of you who are in the channel, this also means that we have to be able to keep our fields very clear, to keep our energies very clear, and to really have strong boundaries, and especially strong energetic boundaries, in order to take, only what is ours, in order to only feel, what we need to process. Because we're here together, and each of us is processing something. So there are some of you who are doing a lot of grit work right now. There are some of you who are more coders. There are some of you who are, transmitters. There are some of you who are meditators. There are some of you who are healers. There are some of you who inspire the creativity. There are some of you who inspire and work very closely with the feminine energy. There are some of you who work very closely with the masculine energy. So we all have these different ranges, and we're all doing our part. And when we recognize that we are not alone in that either, that, you are transmuting this, I am transmuting that, the other person is transmuting that, through our experiences, through the design of our lives, through each moment that you have lived in this lifetime and in past lifetimes. When we start to see that there's this deeper orchestration, that there's this divine design in all, that is when we can actually, really tend to our part in that. It's like doing this big chain where, we all have to contribute with one piece. And the more here to, try to heal the pieces of others, or try to control how the others handle their pieces. We're here to honor all of us, all of the ones who are holding the pieces, and just contributing with our own piece. And when we do that, we inspire all the ones who are around us to do the same. And in that way, the effect of the end result becomes, much more easy. And the process of creating this chain, of creating this big project together, is just more easy, more graceful. And we can also relax and trust that the one who is managing all of this, all of creation, including ourselves, including our jobs, including our families, including everything that we see, including our twin flame, including our relationships, including everything. We can really surrender to that. And we can see what a magnificent work of art is being created together. So we're co-creating, but we don't need to control. We are cooperating, but we don't need to lift the others. Because as we recognize that each one of us is able to do their own work, and that is also very important. In this world where it seems like everything is constantly trying to be of one color, one flavor, one way, and especially through the imprisonment of the divine feminine. The divine feminine energy for so long was kind of told to be, to stay, yes. So as we lift this off of the fields, as we transmute this as a collective, as we bring the light to the table, every unique aspect of you, from the way you look, the way you feel, the way you think, the way you perceive the world, it is all as important. And it is all cherished, and it is all necessary. So, in that thought, why don't we go into a little bit of a healing and a little bit of support for all of you, and see what comes through. And after that, I will start to answer some of the questions that you asked. Hi, Sudipta. Okay. Wonderful. So why don't we close our eyes if you guys are ready. You can just sit down comfortably, and start to take a deep breath in. And have a sip of water if you haven't already. And we're just connecting. And so we're going to set an intention today that every one of us who is here holding this light, that we may shine this light and this healing that we're about to receive to all the people around us, to all the people in this community, to all our families, our loved ones, to all the people that we know that are perhaps in a difficult stage or going through difficulties. And just setting the space, dropping into your heart, and to start to think of whomever it may be, even your pets, your animals, or the animals of the world, humanity, but also the people that are closest to you. Because those are the ones that are directly affected by your light. So let's just think about it. Take a moment to think about feeling this beautiful light coming in through our crowns, into our hearts. Feeling how this beautiful white energy starts to come in. It starts to purify our bodies, our minds, our hearts. And it starts to flush out any stagnant energies, any energies that perhaps were holding steady in our bodies and ourselves. Just feeling this beautiful waterfall open through the divine. And we're starting to call in the angelic realms, all of your angelic beings, your angelic teams of light, your higher self, Kyam Uryam Burya Shi'am Mahina Kia, the Father, Ku'imima Ku'yamima Ka, the Mother, Uriyama Shukuyama. And just feeling this beautiful angelic presence coming in, this strong foundation, and to help us anchor all these energies into the body and into Mother Earth. There's a strong protective field coming in all around us, all around you, your home, the space where you are. And it's like this, it's a blue field. And when this blue field comes in, it's like all the noise, all the electricity, all the upheaval, wherever the waters were not at ease, they just come to stillness. You start to look into a beautiful lake where the water is just calm. Start to feel this water centering us through our fields. You start to feel this water at the level of your heart, at the level of your high heart, activating the infinity within you, activating eternal love, eternal wisdom, eternal compassion. We're being very supported by the elemental realms as well, even the trees, nature, beautiful roots forming, grounding us, and especially grounding some of you who are floating a little bit up high. You back to safety, back into the body, very gently, lovingly, back into feeling this deep, deep, beautiful connection to Mother Earth through the soles of your feet. You're activating like two small suns, these beautiful spheres of light at the bottom of each foot. And activating these beautiful spirals and geometries at the bottom of your foot, of your feet. Really grounding in these beautiful golden cords into the center of the earth. They're just saying they're bringing stability to you. They're bringing in the proper channels and conduits of light for you to feel safe and protected right now. No matter how big the wave, we stay centered and grounded in the knowing that everything is okay and everything is in the hands of the divine. Everything is being taken care of. We only need to be here present, anchoring our life, anchoring our consciousness through our field. And as we become conscious of anchoring our consciousness, we immediately root into the earth. We immediately grow our magnetic field. We grow our protection. And these beautiful seals of light and codes are flowing upstream through your bodies. They are golden in color, bright, pale, yellow, and white, and some are in sand color. And they're just coming up, flowing upstream into the heart, activating all meridians, all channels, Sushumna nadis, Ida and Pingala, up through the crown, up through the throat, and up into the higher chakras, into the higher fields, into the higher bodies, to the higher systems. Taking a deep breath in and just relaxing, allowing this process to take place, allowing your body to attune and to recalibrate to this beautiful energy of grounding, of connection. It's as if we are receiving a very, very stable foundation from our core, from the core of Mother Earth, all the way up into the highest dimensions. For some of you, it's 11th, 12th, 13th gateway, all of the high dimensional gateways. And we're attuning to all cosmic gateways, recalibrating your spectrum. And we're activating through this prism, through this white ray that has all the colors of the rainbow. And it has, for each one of you, your particular frequency, a particular sound, a particular knowledge that you're seeking right now. They're saying they're bringing all the answers in through your channels. They're bringing in all the certainties, all the faith, all the hope, all the knowing. And you're starting to receive through your hands these beautiful tones and these gifts of color, of light. And they're saying it's also it's like spiritual food, spiritual nurturance Mihima Shakya. Each of you are just receiving through these gates, through your heart, the peace of light that you need right now, the peace of nurturance, the peace of advice, of hope, of clarity, of joy. Anything that you need right now as quantum energy, as living and breathing energy into your hands. Tarima Karen, Tari Kiante, Tarima Karen, Dharma Musha Ahama, Upurema. We're starting to clear a lot of pain and sorrow from the throat. Tarima Shari Kiva, Tarima Shah, of the Divine Feminine, Irima Kyan, Yashira. We're also clearing through the womb space, Purma Shari, expanding through the horizontal fields and releasing out, and then flowing in this beautiful, beautiful codes and spiraling energy, blue, light blue energy from in through the vertical fields, spraying down, replenishing your divine feminine essence, bringing a lot of soothing and healing to all the emotional bodies, to the pain body, and flushing out any emotions that we have carried and buried inside of ourselves through space, time, and dimension. Letting these emotions come up to the surface. Omaya Krabera, Omiyana Shena, where they can be expressed, transmuted, and released like bubbles into the ethers. Omiyana Shaya. Seeing this effect of when the bubbles come up into the surface and they're released into the air. When they come in contact with the air, they're just released. And see the throat, the third eye, the crown up, and just letting them go into these waters and flow up, up, up into the ethers and dissolve. We ask that all of these emotions are properly transmuted in the appropriate dimensions, where we can integrate the lessons, where we're able to be set free of these emotions, we're able to set them free so that they no longer take hold of us. Ramya Sharanya. We're starting to feel the divine masculine energy coming in. And I'm just seeing this beautiful divine masculine just riding the wave, kind of like surfing. So just holding steady. They're also showing me the tube of the wave, which also looks like a kind of like a portal. We're just being shown this dimensional shift, this beautiful gate where we can now flow through, where we can invite our divine feminine, our divine masculine energies to join in this peaceful state, to hold hands, to walk together as the light, and to very gently and very lovingly, through our divine guidance, to step into this transformational feeling, to go through this beautiful passageway into the sanctuary of our hearts, into the sanctuary of our lives, of our inner lives, of our inner realms, of our inner world, stepping into this peace. Ya ya maya shaya kuyam bahaya kyanda. And as we go through this beautiful wave, any density, any attachment, any emotions, anything heavy is being released out into the ocean. Koro moshaya mashaya. Vaya mashu uhuri. Releasing through our lineages, through space, time, and dimension. And I see many of you just releasing these old codes into the ocean, into this etheric ocean that is purifying you, absorbing and transmuting anything that no longer serves you. Oyamashera. Calming into stillness. Amarikashaima. We're activating the white and the pink. It's beautiful. Fuchsia, magenta, strawberry tones. Pranana Shamahaya. In through this wave. Puriyama Shama. We have this beautiful blue and white outside, and in the center of this spiral-like wave, there is white and magenta and pink fusing, blending together, creating this beautiful, beautiful translucent violet color. With this light halo effect, charcoals, ukuma and shayla. We're just releasing a lot through this word. Releasing also through this word of the masculine, through the back heart chakras, and we're just coming into our awareness of our light, of our channels of light. Feeling this beautiful violet tone coming in, unifying all of our fields, unifying your spectrums, bring this beautiful harmonic resonance to all of your body's field. Divine perfection, divine beauty, your heart, so that you're able to look around in the space of your heart, in your sacred sanctuary. You're able to witness and to see the beauty, to witness this beautiful landscape, the butterflies, the trees, the colors, the light shining in everything, reflecting reflecting back to you all the beauty, the grace, and the divinity that you have. This is very emotional. They're just peeling off these layers off of each one of you that perhaps you weren't able to see with such clarity who you are. And as you shed these layers, you're able to recognize yourself as the light once more, or a little more, or for the first time. So really seeing the full spectrum of who you are. Seeing this beautiful rainbow all around you, holding you, making a cocoon, protecting you and guiding you each step of the way. No matter how dark the road seems, when you come inside, you're always guided by the light. Your light shines through all dimensions, through all time space, through all frequencies and realms. Laikamya Shakya Mahaya, activating through this Syrian temple, through the Syrian gates. Kyamyashe. I'm starting to prepare. This is just like a very small seed preparing. Already seeing the stars, already seeing the landscape. Just visualizing these beautiful stars in the sky shining for you, directing you, always showing you the way, and leading you, and awakening the courage of your heart, the courage, the wisdom, the love, the humbleness, your true light nature. Hamashea Hake Kaina. You're just being blessed all around you. Kimya Shambya Shaya Shaya. In this beautiful rainbow energy. And we're going to ask to tone out of yourself the receptors, your body, your feels. Continue to integrate this beautiful place in your heart. Continue to anchor your sanctuary, your divine light grace, your own unique temple of light in your own heart. So that every time you go into this temple, you feel how connected you are, how loved you are, how supported you are, how much grace you carry within you, inside of you, how much hope, faith, love, divinity, freedom, space, time. It is all within you. Maya Mashama Hakuna Keranaha. And very gently and very lovingly, you're sealing each one of your fields, each one of your bodies. And you're being sealed in these angel wings all around you, beautiful angel wings. It goes all the way into Mother Earth, all the way up to divine, holding your course steady, holding your life steady, no matter what happens, no matter what happens on the outside. This is done. This is done. Amen. 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 For life. So it is. So very gently, very gently, taking a deep breath in. Very gently starting to come back into the body. We're going to ask to release any excess energy. Now, as we bless, we're going to bless the planet with this energy or any energy, excess energy that you weren't able to integrate. So we can just imagine the world in front of us, or the people, places, things that we would like to bless today. And if it's yourself, you can also imagine yourself blessing yourself. That is also a very advanced technique to advance spiritually. So just blessing through your hands. You can put your hands in a blessing position, imagining whomever you want to bless. Taking a deep breath in and feeling this golden light flowing through your crown, into your heart, into your hands. Then from your hands it starts to pour down into the planet, into the person, the people, the places, the things that you would like to bless. And we start to fill them up with gold. Oyama shakare kare, sharahakare. You can feel the energy between your hands flowing. And we're going to bless the whole earth, every person, every being, with love, with light, with kindness. Blessing everyone with spirituality, with evolution, with divine prosperity, with divine joy, divine happiness, divine protection. Blessing each and every being with light, every part of the world where there may be darkness, or difficulty, or sickness, or pain, or grief, or sorrow. Filling up all these places with golden light. Goya Shahar, Shahar, Shahar. blessing all beings, blessing nature, blessing all animals, all beings in all 8 directions. Mayashura Hare. Blessing your family, your children, your loved ones. Blessing them with love and joy and health, divine happiness, divine prosperity, divine wisdom, divine clarity, divine guidance, and divine support always. Blessing everyone with divine hope, divine courage, divine faith. With equality and the willingness to do what is right. Ashoya Bashe. Blessing everyone with peace, with divine grounding, with stability, with divine freedom, divine love, divine joy, and divine healing for everyone and everything, for all systems, for all structures, for everything that is, and everything that will be. Blessing all with divine light, with the guidance of the divine light, of divine consciousness, and the expansion of this divine consciousness. It is done. It is done. And so it is. We start to feel grounded into our bodies, feeling the roots going into the center of the earth. Taking a deep breath in, and very slowly, whenever you're ready, you can come back into this present breath, revitalized, feeling supported and grounded, and keeping this peace inside of your heart forever. And we thank you all so much for participating in this healing. I'm very, very honored to be here. And thank all of the guidance, all of our guides, all of our teachers, all of our families of light, all of the angelic realm, all of the great ones that are present here. And we thank you for all your guidance, your wisdom, your clarity, your support, especially through these challenging times. We thank you for all the deliverance of your messages of your light, for all your blessings. We thank you. So how is everybody feeling? Very gently coming back. If you wish to remain in this state of meditation, you're also welcome to remain there. Or if you feel a little bit sleepy and you would like to take a nap, perhaps, you're also welcome to do that. Okay. Oh, so I hope you guys were able to hear me through this. Okay. Oh, wonderful. And so on, dear Adriana, you can, sometimes our body integrates better when we are in a complete relaxed state. Very good. Yes. Okay, dear Aaron, if any emotions come up, we can invite them to just flow through us like a wave. And just, letting it flow through you and letting it transform your body. So when we give ourselves permission to feel, we actually, invite these feelings to be expressed or to be felt. We actually create a safe space for them to show themselves and to be released so they don't stay in our bodies. So if you're able to do that, that's really good. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Yes. Okay, so if anyone has any symptoms, you can just, focus on your energy and just release any excess energy and feel that energy flowing through your channels, energy that is ready to be released. So sometimes as we release things, they also kind of move a little bit in our bodies. Yes. It was very strong, it's very powerful. So if you guys feel like, you're a little bit sleepy or you want to go to bed earlier today, that would be wonderful. And see how you're doing tomorrow, okay? Okay, I hope you guys are able to hear me a little bit better now. I think my connection has been a little bit unstable, but okay. Okay, so let me just see really quick here for the questions. I had I had so many great questions, but there were some that I wanted to answer today, just for those of you who asked. So let me just go ahead and check here. Okay, so I had a very interesting question from Connected in Diversity. And she said, what is the experience of moving forward into something while you are meditating and not physically moving? Or to have the experience of seeing spins while meditating? What is that? So, when we meditate and the more we do our practice, we actually start to expand this channel. And we actually start to create even more channels. Like we start to activate, let's say, these dormant channels that were there. So many times when we come online with new portions of our field, of our energetic bodies, we may feel like, we got an upgrade, and it's kind of like if you were riding, like a car, that you get like this new, like a new version of that car. So when you ride it, it just feels a little bit different, right? It's not the same. Perhaps it feels lighter. So the same thing happens with our bodies. When we start to activate these portions of light, we start to receive more of our capacity to receive the light. And as we do that, we integrate these parts of us that were perhaps dormant or that were inactive yet. So sometimes in that process, we can feel spinning, we can feel like we're floating out of our bodies, or we can feel like movement forward and backward. But that's just our energy field adapting. So when this happens, it's usually something that goes away on its own, and something very normal. Especially when we are just starting in the journey, or really diving deep into our meditation practice and really developing that, because meditation is something that is always exponential. So the more we meditate and we sit down in stillness and we feel our energy bodies, we can actually start to feel that we are not static beings, that we're constantly moving, we're constantly in flow. And so are our energy channels, our bodies. And, when we go into the anatomy of the energetic body, the chakras spin. That's like their natural movement. They spin in both directions. And that's the way they kind of modulate the energy. But also the fields around us that are created through this movement of the chakras, they're also spinning. And actually everything, if you see into sacred geometry, but also into quantum physics, everything is always spinning, even though we may feel or it may seem that we're static, especially in the third dimension, because here everything is in the slowest vibration, right? So everything seems to take longer, and we are still in linear time. But when we start to feel into our energy body through that access point of meditation, of stillness of our hearts, we can actually feel the movement of our energy bodies that has always been there, but we just become aware of it. Okay, so I hope that helps, dear. And in meditation, I feel like sinking in, and then all of a sudden you almost lose your breath or your whole body jumps. And yes, this is also like a normal reaction of the body. And also during healing, when you receive healing, when the light is kind of like going through your body and making new pathways, establishing new circuits of light, or repairing circuits that were perhaps broken or that weren't functioning the way they should be functioning. Sometimes we feel the buildup, and then we can feel perhaps a headache, or we can feel the heat. Some people feel heat, some people feel cold. But usually when the light kind of like moves through or breaks, dissolves these boundaries or whatever it is, we may feel it, we may have the reaction in the physical body. So it may feel like this little jump, or like a tick, or like a twitching of the arm or the legs. And it's actually something that is very good. It's just, again, you learning how to drive your new vehicle, your new astral body. Okay. Okay. Oh, so Nikki has a very interesting question. Says, may I ask how will I know if the voice I'm hearing from my head was from my higher self, guides, or just my mind? Okay. So in the beginning, dear Nikki, it's actually really hard to tell. And I know many people are like, am I going crazy? Is this me? Is this not me? Am I making things up? And what I always say in that is, you know, when we let ourselves just be, it's the same thing as, for example, when people want to learn how to sing light language, how to channel light language, we just need to create a space. Like usually when you create the space before you receive the messages, you're kind of already like setting the stage or preparing the stage for you to receive messages without your mind interfering. So if you are in doubt of what the guidance is, you can go into meditation, go into stillness, calm your heart in your own channel of light. And you can also ask your guides to help you step aside your mind and step aside your ego and step aside any attachment to whatever guidance you're receiving or whatever messages are coming through. And so in that way, you program your energy body. You ask your guides to help you program it, but you're also programming it. And you can also say, mind, please step aside. All the attachments, all energy of anticipation, or all energy of perhaps even nervousness or excitement, you just put that aside and you bring yourself to the most neutral space that you can be, to the most calm and relaxed state that you can be. And then you connect and you say, okay, I'm ready to receive. And whatever comes through then, when your emotions are quiet, when your mind is quiet, that you can write down. You can listen to that and you can write it down. And of course, in the beginning, sometimes it's still a little bit tricky to know, like, where is this coming from? But in the end, it's always coming from your higher self. So the more you practice this and you practice this technique, it will get easier to feel, because the energy that comes in, or the energetic information, we actually feel it through our heart. We don't really need the mind to receive the messages, because like the mind is not the active participator in receiving. We receive it through our connection to our soul from our heart. So it's more of a feeling of the energy. So when you start feeling love and peace, and you start feeling beauty that's coming in, and you start feeling peaceful, that is the energetic information coming into your body. And then you can start to translate whatever you feel. And you can even be creative with that. You can even, go all the way, just write everything that comes to your mind, and then read it, and then you will be able to see, okay, I couldn't have possibly, done this, or written this on my own. So the more you practice, the easier it becomes. But I always encourage to, when you do any kind of practice like this, to receive messages, even if you do, like you use divination tools like a pendulum or tarot cards, always, always, always shield the space, protect, and always kind of leave your mind and your attachments to the outcome, or to even helps. Okay, any questions here? Okay, And so there's one question that says, I have been feeling, it's from A and D, I have been feeling very disillusioned by the twin flame path and the spiritual journey in general as of late. Why is this happening? Okay, and I think this is, oh, you're welcome, Nikki. You're very welcome. So, when we feel disillusioned with the spiritual path and, with the twin flame path, I mean, there are a little bit of different things to consider right there, but just in like for a more general thing, when we're in the spiritual path, it is a very, it can get very, very steep sometimes, and it's not an easy path, as you may all know by now, probably. So, there are um, so many times when we are just adapting to the light that is coming in, where we still, when we start spiritual path, we start to become this other person, right? We start to kind of see all the possibilities of what we can be. We start to identify more with the light within us. We start to remember how we were as children. We start to remember the magic. We start basically awaken ourselves to the fact that we are the light. But in that, we have already been living an existence of a lot of conditioning, a lot of um, programming, a lot of pain, a lot of experiences, and also a lot of karma. So all the things that we have lived as a soul, not just this lifetime. So we awaken to both things, right? So we have the one that we already have, but we become more aware of it. So we start this process of kind of integrating our light, of integrating our shadow into the light, inviting all of those aspects to be seen by this new light of awareness. And when we are in that process, which many call, the dark night of the soul, it is a very, very intense process. And of course, not for everyone. It's not the same for everyone. We all have a very unique process. But for the majority, it's not a walk in the park. It's not a walk in the park, especially for our ego mind, for our egos that, they were used to seeing the world in a certain way. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no, none of this was true. There are other ways to see this. And, there are other ways to identify. There are other ways to see myself. So the whole perspective shifts. And there's a lot of change, and there's a lot of the unknown. So the unknown factor of the spiritual path and the having faith in the unknown and the taking the leap of faith into none of us know the journey, especially when we're starting. Because when we start is when part of the journey is to develop the patience, develop the resilience, and develop the faith in our own journey and in our own light and in our own self. So this is something that we each learn differently, but this is something that all souls learn in the spiritual journey. So when we are learning these things, all the things that we have learned previously are defied, are like, there is, it is not like a stable ground. It is actually a ground of creation. It is a ground where everything possibly gets knocked down and we have to start building anew. And, for most of us, and especially when we are more in a sleep state, we don't like to rebuild things anew. Like this process feels tiring and it feels perhaps even draining. But the thing is that when we're feeling that, it is perfectly okay, it is perfectly fine. And I always recommend to, take a step back and just, take a breather. If you have been healing, if you have been going on and on your spiritual journey, perhaps just taking a little pause of like one day or a week or whatever you have to just, nurture yourself and really focus on your self-love. Because without that key component in the spiritual journey, without that love, that self-love, that self-compassion, we can kind of take the spiritual journey on like any other task. Like, oh, I have to fulfill this, I have to do this, or I have to clear, and I have to heal, and I have to go there. And when we're actually doing it and we're not really seeing the results right away, we start to think that we're doing something wrong or that it's not working, and we start to become impatient. But you see, in order to learn patience, we have to master impatience. And in order to master hope, we have to master losing hope. So that is the first part of the journey. And in that part, it can get a little bit hard. It can get, or a lot actually, it can get very, very hard. But if I can give you one advice in that, and if you are in that moment, in that place, I was there too. And I believe most of you who are listening now have been there. And every spiritual teacher has been there. Everyone has been there at a given moment. And I remember when that happened to me, when I was in that moment, I had one teacher who said, well, you can go back if you want. You can, take a high road or take a road back and just, go back to being asleep. But you won't be able to sleep peacefully, knowing that there is so much ahead and so much lying on the other side. And so she told me, you have that option. Either you go back and you pretend like you don't know, or you go through with your knowledge, with your light, and you go through all the shadow, anything that has to come up, and you go and, meet yourself on the other side. And so I really, had a moment where I was doubting. I was like, I don't know. But of course, in the end, our light just, you know, it just guides us. When you awaken to the light, there's no more going back. There's no more going back to that particular place when you were unaware. Of course, you can go into phases of denial or of, perhaps you want to play a little more before really stepping into your mission. And, many times the divine even grants us these phases or these periods of time where we're actually able to relax and play or just live a more of a normal life, let's say. But there's always the calling of the light. And whenever you choose to follow that calling, it will all be there waiting for you. And it will be, the exact time that your soul is ready to go there. But I would always, remind myself or remind yourself, if I can remind you now, that you have everything that it takes to get there. And that the more that you surrender to that, and the more you let your light guide you, the easier the path becomes. And instead of having this bumpy road all the time, or these hills and upheaval and tornadoes coming your way, it suddenly starts to become a very beautiful path where you can actually enjoy the view and where you can actually see the miracles and everything. And I can assure you that that is on the other side. So if it's of any inspiration, I share that with my heart. Okay. Okay. And I promise you, it will get easier. It does get, mm, well, everything always continues. We keep evolving, of course, but when we allow ourselves to be guided by the light supports us too. And the more we let the light guide us, the light guides us, protects us, and ensures that we have a beautiful path. And that is the perfect path for our soul. So no matter what, our soul will always be calling us to that path. So there is no going wrong. It's just a matter of time. And for the soul, time doesn't exist, right? Hi, dear honey. Okay. Well, I appreciate you too so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let me go to the last question for today. Okay, so there was a question that said, how can I know if I'm in my spiritual path? Most healers told me I didn't start yet. Okay, this is a question from Amna. Hey Amna, if you're here listening. Okay. So, well, my quick answer is that, of course, if you're here, you're probably already in your spiritual path. And, you know, usually the things that come into our awareness, even the things that we can imagine that aren't here yet, or that haven't happened yet, it's because we are, at some point, we will get there, we will be there. So if you're here and you're wondering if you are in a spiritual path, I would say that you probably are already in a spiritual path. And the big answer to that is that what early people call the spiritual path, and how we commonly refer to the spiritual path, is when we actually consciously decide to, develop the spirituality within us, to develop our connection to spirit, which is our connection to the divine, which is actually our connection to all. But it is that moment when we, consciously, sometimes it's even like we're still kind of playing with both things, because some of us are just pushed into the path somehow because of many different reasons. People have had like near-death experiences, or through disease, like I was, or through different things, that you suddenly have this new awareness, and you decide. For me, the spiritual path, it's not about anything other than developing your connection to the divine. So whenever we start to wonder who we are, why we're here, what's happening to me, where do I want to go, all of these things are questions of the soul. And that is our divine essence awakening. And that starts to lead us. And sometimes the human part of us may go half conscious, half unconscious, or, we can even go back and forth. But when the soul starts guiding us to these places, to these people, to these teachers, the journey has already begun. And it's actually a journey that we have begun many, many lifetimes ago. But every time we come back through the density, we have to come to a place of remembrance. Oh, this is where I left off. Okay, now I'll continue. And, we're all in different stages, and we're all in different levels of evolution, in different paths, different rates, evolving, different speeds. So it's very, very unique. But, you know, as a healer, I would never tell anyone that they're not in the spiritual path or that they are, because that's something that, you know, that's something that we know. You are on your spiritual path. You have always been in the spiritual path. So, yeah. So I hope that helps you, dear Amna. And, you know, if you're here and you're looking for answers and you're looking for things, that is the first, you know, sign for me that anyone is awakening. You know, when we ask questions and when we look for the answers, and it can be within, and sometimes we need to look for the answers without. And in the beginning of the journey, it's more often that we find the answers in the reflection of a teacher or a guide or someone who has walked the path a little bit before us. So we have kind of a model, or we have an idea of how we can deal with whatever we're going through. And receive guidance when we are in these tender stages is so important, it's so crucial. And it's so crucial that all of you please always listen to your hearts while doing this, while looking for answers and finding the answers, and then always, always checking in with your heart and with your soul if that actually resonates. And you can come back and check as many times as you wish, because as we evolve, the things that resonate with us also stop resonating, and then we start to resonate with other things. And the same happens with teachers or with guides. And, you know, in the beginning of our journey, we may resonate with one teaching or with one particular way, and it may be very helpful, even a meditation or a type of meditation. And then as we evolve, we may need another type of meditation, another teacher, another healer, you know, something different. But to always check. And if you find someone or something that always works and that you feel that you can open your heart and that you feel safe and that you feel heard and that you feel supported, then I would, you know, tell you stick with that one, and, you know, follow through until you have enough of that, and then, you know, you master that, and then you can go to the next thing. I think that is a very safe approach, especially into healings, especially now where there is so much information, so many modalities and things and teachers and information. The way that I did it in my path was I always stuck to one, even, you know, one meditation that works. If that one works for you, if that one brings you peace every time, stick to that one as your main meditation. And explore, of course, always explore. But, you know, now after many years in this journey, I value these core meditations so much, and these core teachings, and these perhaps even very basic practices of returning to the breath, of returning to stillness, because those are kind of like the foundational, or the foundation for the unfoldment of everything. And when times get challenging and when things get rough, we can always go back to those teachings or to those things that we have actually mastered or that we have been practicing for a long time, and we can really feel supported by that, whether it's teachers, healers, or, you know, particular teaching or particular meditation. Okay, so I hope that helps. I think I went a little bit into a tangent there. Okay, perhaps these messages serve others. Hi, my dear Robert. Hi, Red Queen. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let me just read a little bit here into the chat. Okay. Okay, so I'll go into the last question from Melissa here, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, guys? So Melissa says, Lana, I have such a hard time pulling my energy back from my DF as some advice. We shouldn't feed him as he needs to do the work on his own. How do we balance that? Yes. Okay. Wonderful, Steph. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, yes, Aaron, I was actually guided to answer that question. Oh, thank you, my dear Steph. I'm so happy to have found you too. Thank you so much. Okay, so to the question, I'm actually going to do also a whole video on that, on this question, and dive in deeper and do the continuation of the previous video that I did, Twin Flames, which is called Part 1. And I've been meaning to get the Part 2 out, but I have been with so much things. But I will try to get it out this week. And in that, I talk about a lot of these things. So, you know, one of the things that we can do, especially the way that I view the Twin Flame journey and, you know, the divine feminine and divine masculine energies. Right now, because of everything that is happening in the world and because of how everything is shifting, my advice is to, you know, continue to work with the feminine and the masculine energies. So going to the higher dimensions and working with your original template. So letting go of the person self. So, you know, if we see the energies, right? It's like we have our physical bodies, which is the smallest part of us, and then we have the etheric bodies, and there are many, 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 many bodies until we become this like huge bubble of light, let's say. And in that bubble is our feminine energy, our feminine essence. So we work with that energy. And when I talk about the divine masculine, I work with the energy that is also that essence of the divine masculine. So for each one of you, it's the essence of, you know, your, let's say, energetic match in the higher dimensions. So when we do this and we release the person, the physical person, and we release also ourselves from the, you know, like burden of carrying also this weight of the feminine energy. It's kind of like releasing the physical, releasing the humans to integrate everything better. So when we do that and we start to focus our meditations, our healing work, all the things that we do, we focus it on that higher perspective, on working with the energetic aspect of the masculine and working with your energetic aspect of the feminine. We can actually start to shift a lot of things, and we can heal a lot of things. And, you know, many things can come into the physical planes because we are shifting them in the higher planes. So that is like my advice for that particular thing. And, you know, if you try to do that or you practice this, see how you feel practicing this for, let's say, a week. And starting to relate, every time if you think about, the divine masculine, instead of seeing like the image of a person, like a physical being, try to see him or her, as this beautiful bubble energy. It may be like for you, it may be blue or violet, or it may change from day to day. And just starting to relate to that component and to, as you do this, of course, always bring in protection and for both of you, also when you do your healing and everything. But starting to relate more to the energetic aspect. Because when you do that, different things will start to present in your reality. And perhaps you will receive, okay, maybe I'm feeling a little bit of resistance to letting go of the person. Okay, why is this? Okay, so maybe I have, a big wound on my feminine side of abandonment. Or maybe I have this wound on my masculine side, like even on my masculine side, coming from my father, of, you perhaps something that says, oh, but this is never enough, or the things that you do are never enough. Or whatever comes up, you can start to take your own healing journey and your own twin flame journey into your, let's say, into your own custody. And that's what I meant when I say tend to your flame. Start to take care of your energetics and take care of the energetics in the higher realms. In anything that you take care in the higher realms, it will reflect sooner or later in the physical realms. So if you're healing that feminine aspect of you, and you're already working with that, you can work with the masculine aspect of you as well, or the masculine aspect that is a counterpart to your feminine. And when you start to do that, you start to bring them into balance, and you start to see where the resistance is perhaps, or where the blockages are. And then we can start to dissolve that through the healing. And it actually becomes a journey where you are reconciling with divinity, reconciling the feminine and the masculine, and not just one person, but you're reconciling the energies within you. And that allows like the energies around you to reconcile as well. So you're starting to set the foundations and the fertile ground to, balanced relationships in general, and also. So perhaps this is a little bit, a little bit abstract or difficult to understand, but it's kind of like the same when we heal the body, when we do energy healing. So when I'm healing, for example, something in the body, let's say, dear Melissa, you have like a pain in your hand, right? So me as a healer, I'm not, going to go look for you in the world to find you and to heal your hand, but I actually connect to you, to your higher self. I ask for protection. Of course, saying that you came to me for healing. And I do the healing in the energetic realms. So I ask for the divine guidance, and we perform the healing in the energetic realms. And the result of that is that wherever you are, you start to have the release of the symptom that you had in your hand. So the same way we can look at, the feminine and masculine energies. Because it's not about, the way that I see the twin flame journey, and the way that I see actually the masculine and feminine energies, and the divine energy reconciling itself, reconciling polarity through the feminine and the masculine aspects. It's all about that reconciliation. So the more that we can heal and that we can reconcile in the energetic realms, the more that we will be able to invite that reconciliation through the physical, or that representation of that reconciliation in the physical. So that's how we start to ground union, and that's how we start to ground these new templates of relationships. And it's really not about one person. It doesn't really matter, like in the great scale of things, who that person is. It matters that both persons and both beings and both souls are doing the work, so that they can come into a place where they can actually land that energy in the physical and are able to attract, each other. Because it's not like a mission. The attraction happens because it's a natural thing to happen. If I'm putting love out there, I'm going to attract love. If I'm putting, fear out there, I'm going to attract fear. That's just the law, that's one of the cosmic laws. That's the way the universe works. So when we start to ground union in our field, when we start to reconcile the feminine and the masculine aspects within ourselves, we actually start to attract that energy, and we actually invite that energy to happen all around us, in our relationships, but also in our work, in everything that has feminine and masculine energy. And the more conscious we are of this process, the more we can actually see how we are changing and how we are contributing to the world by bringing in more union and reconciliation through our own fields, and through finding that balance and that peace and that love within us. Because when we find it within us, the universe will bring it to us. So the focus shouldn't be on an outside person or on any person at all. It should be in you, within your energy. And when you do that healing and that you put your focus there, it starts to, it starts to bloom, and it starts to grow, and all kinds of things start to come into your life. And you don't need to feel attached to anything. You don't feel attached to a certain outcome. You're not expecting anything, because you're co-creating. When we are part of a project, when we are actively participating, we don't feel like, that anticipating, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, when a painter is painting a canvas, painter is not like, well, ideally, when you're in the divine frequency of light, you're not thinking about the result. You're not thinking about, if it's going to be good or bad, or you're not trying to control what you're painting. You're just being, the messenger. You're being the channel of light. And that is co-creation with the divine. The divine brings this through you, and then the only thing that you need to do is to be a clear channel to anchor that. And when we do that, and when we're channels, we're not worried about if it's anchoring well or not, because we know that divinity will always find a way to anchor things and to bring things just the way they should be at the right time, at the right moment. Just the way our whole lives have been orchestrated so far. The moment that you were born, that was also divine timing. The moment that you received your first kiss, that was also divine timing. Each moment in our lives, the moment that you birthed your first child, and every child, every moment is divinely guided. So we shouldn't have any attachment to those moments. we should be co-creating and experiencing the moments that we have at hand, experiencing them now as fully as we can, and grounding our light in the now, so that, the universe can bring us the light now. If we're grounding the light in the future, then we will be waiting, for the future. If we're grounding the light in the past, then, we might never receive that. We have to ground our light in the present, and wherever the circumstances are. And when we start to do that, everything starts to flow. Okay. So I hope that helped a little bit, my dear Melissa. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, guys, so I will go into some of these subjects more in detail also in the next coming videos. And, I will do this self-love course starting the 22nd of this month. So if anyone wants to join me, we're actually doing exactly that. I'm teaching small groups every other day. We're having kind of like this session, but every other day. And I'm channeling, teachings and practices to anchor our love, our union, our peace, everything in the now moment. And I'm sharing a lot of the practices that I have, done over the years, that I have gathered over the years. And I'm very, very excited to be teaching these courses. And it has been very, very fulfilling as well to me on a personal level, well, it's not a personal, but in my heart, it's a very heartfelt course, because I know that these tools are needed. I know that when we're in a spiritual journey, sometimes we don't have them. Sometimes we lack guidance, or we lack, guidance that we can trust, or that can clarify some of the things that we're going through when everything gets very confusing, or, when we really don't feel like going on anymore. And I know this because I was there too. And in my journey, I had very few, of course, I had so many teachers, but I had very few like teachers that would actually be there in a way that it was very easy to talk to ask questions, or to just receive guidance. So, I would see my teachers like once a year, if at all. And, that wasn't so much, I had to like figure a lot of stuff out on my own, which of course was part of my journey. But, since that time, I always wanted to provide exactly that which I didn't have in my journey to everyone who may need it, or, who may benefit from this. So this is what we're doing now, and what I have been guided to do during this time, especially from now until the Lion's Gate, because like I mentioned in my newsletter, I feel like we're in this kind of like grace period where we're able to still dive deep into our healing work and prepare for what's to come, prepare for, when the world starts spinning again very fast. And so I would love if you would like to join me. I'm there. You can always, join us in these courses, and you can also write to me, and I will continue to do these ASK LANA segments. And, I'm here. Because of the courses, I have been a little bit absent sometimes to upload so many videos, but I'm always here. I'm always, tending I'm trying to do my best to tend to the community. So I send you so much love, guys, and thank you. Thank you, guys, for being here. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. I send you much love, much peace and light for your days. And we will talk very soon. Okay? Thank you. Much love to you. And I will see you soon. Be blessed, guys. Bye-bye, Lorraine. Bye-bye. Thank you.